That's more dangerous.
That's safer.
I can surf, I can skateboard, I can't ride bikes.
What are you doing these days? For work or better?
Yeah, right.
Surfing's a lot harder than it looks too.
You'll know I'm retired the day that game reads.
I don't have any plans tomorrow.
But they went that?
I'm saying my wife, she's got to make sure for what happened to $1
Did you get with him on the AC unit? You never got one? You failed. Those were only passed. No, it wasn't like that. It was somebody else. Well, how are you? 15. Okay.
Jen, we live?
I did go that. They forgot to. It's 7 o'clock.
We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Do a roll call, please.
Bacon?
Here.
There.
Here.
Harness? Here. Lee?
Here.
Barbara?
Here.
Unworthy?
Here. Yep.
Great. We can all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. All right. First item is our public hearing, so I'm going to say to Chairman Weir, let's call this meeting to order.
Call the question of the planning commission roll call, please.
Where?
Here.
Ring? Johnson?
Here.
There?
Here.
This one will open the public hearing for SUP 2014-0404, home occupation at 15008 Nelson Manor Place. This is a request for a special use permit, home occupation at 15008 Nelson Manor Place, Sherwood Forest, and previous planning commission meeting scheduled this direct public hearing. At this time, I would ask any to speak in favor or put in opposition to the matter, please come forward. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion to forward SUP 2014-0404 to the town council.
With a recommendation
With a recommendation to approve it. Second.
All in favor? Roll call, please.
Where?
Aye.
Ring?
Aye.
Johnson?
Aye.
And Bear?
Aye.
Any motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
No, dude, tips at 7:05, man. Gotta drive slowly.
All right. And the town council, I guess, will also open up for any anybody would like to speak in favor or opposed to our public hearing. Seeing none, we'll close our public hearing. And take any recommendation from the council.
It's agenda item number 6A. Why don't we just make sure we get there?
Well, next item is our citizens' time. It's a chance for citizens to come up and just state your name and address for the record and anything they would like to say. Yes, sir.
My name is David Mordvet. I'm the dentist over here at Haymarket Family and Cosmetic Dentistry. And I just want to say thank you, Mayor and Town Council members, for listening to me to address this issue. We kind of talked a little bit about it before, and that's the BTPP, which is the Business Tangible Property Tax that that Prince William County seems to be sending audits to some of the businesses in our town. And I know that some of you have already addressed this with you, and I think I wanted to bring it up publicly and speak to you all collectively on it, because I think that with Prince William sending me this information requesting an audit for 3 years plus a year can be pretty, create a hardship, especially if you don't have those funds available, especially when you're trying to grow your practice, you're putting it, or any business for that matter, putting your funds back into the practice or the business. It's not like you keep this huge surplus available. But I wanted to address it to the council members here, really kind of let you guys know that I think it's an issue that our town needs to think about, especially on some of the businesses. And I don't know if there's a ranking, but I'm under the assumption that every business, according to Prince William County, would be hit with this tax, and then approaching some of the businesses in our town, whether or not they've received this tax from the county, in addition to the business tax that we're paying you guys in order to obtain our business license. Only a few people have received it, and I know that Joe Russo with Giuseppe's last year received it, and then I'm getting hit with it this year, and there might be a couple more out there that I just haven't really talked to. But it raises a concern that when I approach some of the businesses that have not received this yet and have not received the audit, that my concern is that they voice their opinion that they may just say, well, I'm going to leave the town. And I think addressing it to you guys collectively, and I know that a lot of you are already thinking about it, and I know we've kind of talked personally on it, but I think that's an issue of us losing some of the businesses in our town just over a tax that we're being double taxed for. Anyway, for the record, I just want to present to you guys, find out a little bit about what you're all thinking collectively on how we're going to address it, and kind of basically put it on the table and say, let's really try to focus in on this year as soon as possible. Whoever it is that we need to hook up with this and approach, I guess, eventually the Attorney General to really look at that, I guess, the law, whatever it is. But according to what I read in that the Site 2 for assessment, it looks to me like I'm supposed to pay you guys, the town, and I think that's what we've been doing here. So anyway, I just wanted to present it to you and see what you guys thought, and kind of keep it on the table until we can get it addressed and rectified.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you. Thank
Cool.
you very much for your time.
Well, thank you.
And we'll definitely get in touch.
Thank you again.
All right. Thank you, sir. Anyone else would like to address the council? Okay. Moving on to our minutes of acceptance.
Make a motion to approve the minutes of the work session March 26, work session April 1, regular meeting April 7, work session April 17 as a whole.
Second. Motion's been second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? All right. Thank you.
At this time, I'd like to add to the agenda, just agenda item L, to add the proclamation that we'll be reading.
Okay. Okay. You know what it is now. Okay. Sure.
Fantastic. This proclamation will be for Leather and Lace Motorcycle Club, whereas Virginia's climate and scenery made motorcycling riding an attraction in the beautiful state of Virginia, and riders consider our roadways to be some of the best for riding. Whereas motorcycles are increasingly used as a regular means of transportation, and whereas the motorcycle is an energy-efficient vehicle that reduces fuel consumption, traffic, and parking congestion, and whereas the motorcycle is an important form of transportation for commuting, touring, and recreations, and on Virginia roadways, and whereas as a matter of safety, it is necessary to develop appropriate driving habits to handle these vehicles on Virginia roadways, and whereas to prevent injuries and deaths on Virginia roadways, motorcyclists and motorists must be diligent in their efforts to share the road and ensure the safety of everyone. And whereas Motorcycle Safety Awareness Month raises public awareness for a lifetime of safe motorcycle riding, and whereas the International Women's Motorcycle Club, Leather and Lace MC, is committed to increasing the safe operation of motorcycles by promoting rider safety education programs, their goal is to alert the motorists of the town of Haymarket, Virginia, to Motorcycle Safety Awareness Month. Now, therefore, David Leake, Mayor of Haymarket, and this town council in the great Commonwealth of Virginia, in recognition of over 195,700 registered motorcycle cyclists statewide, and in recognition of the continued role of Leather and Lace MC as a promoter of motorcycle safety, education, and awareness, do hereby proclaim the month of May 2014 as Motorcycle Safety Awareness Month in the town of Haymarket, and ask all citizens to join in a concerted effort to promote awareness, mutual respect, and safety on our roads.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and I guess present this to you all.
Thank you so much.
Oh, no, absolutely.
Ready? 3, 2, 1. And one more.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
All right, our first agenda item is special use in-home business.
I move that the town council approve SUP 20140404 for Maddox Studios LLC for an in-home occupation at 15008 Gotham Manor Drive as described on the special use permit application and narrative dated April 4th, 2014 pursuant to section 5998-8 of the zoning ordinance and subject to the development standards of section 5816 home occupations. I further move that the SUP shall remain in effect for a period of 1 year to renew automatically for additional periods of 1 year, but expressly conditioned upon the following. Council may require, upon a majority vote after notice to the applicant, for the applicant or present property owner to submit a new application for an SUP, which shall be treated in all respects as a new and different application, subject to approval or disapproval in accordance with general principles of law for a new application. If such notice is given to the applicant or present property owner, the SUP shall terminate automatically and without further notice or action by the council succeeds from giving such notice.
Motion on the floor that's been seconded. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Bacon.
Yes.
Bear.
Yes.
Harris.
Yep.
Scarborough.
Yep.
Henry.
Aye.
And Tobias.
Great. Next item is a appropriation request from the police department.
Brian, do you have what's the number that you spent out of that $30,000 grant for their computers?
I believe the NDCs ran, I don't know the exact number off the top of my head, but it was somewhere around 14, 5 range. Somewhere around.
No, that's why I asked.
Sorry, I didn't know it.
Does anybody remember? Was it in our minutes?
I think Brad Rose was 14, 15.
It was less than 50.
authorize the Haymarket Police Department to enter into the purchase agreement with Tramco Kanawha Electric and Machine Company for the purchase of the Vermac PCMS 3-line variable message board in the amount not to exceed $13,600. And I further move to authorize the Haymarket Police Department to enter into the purchase agreement with GovDirect for the purchase of 5 mobile data computer docking stations in an amount not to exceed $3,400, plus to come from the public safety, capital outlay, machinery, and equipment line item.
Second.
Motion's been seconded by Ms. Bear. Any discussion? Roll call.
Aiken.
Yes.
Bear.
Yes.
Ernest.
Yes.
Carl.
Yes.
Henry. Rice.
No.
All right. Okay, Mr. Henshaw.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, just a refresher from the work session, due to the recent changes in our policies with VML Insurance, the company looking at other alternatives. I was mistaken. We did actually have another quote, but it was actually from another state agency, and it was only covering the changes in our VML coverage currently. We did check and see there are actually no private sector options for municipal coverage that are out there, and actually most private sector insurance companies do not offer line of duty and workers' comp associated with public works and public police and fire and rescue. So that's one of the reasons. Basically, our best options here in the state of Virginia are VML and VACO for our insurance coverages. With that being said, I still recommend that the VACO group self-insurance risk pool offers the most more competitive rates and provides the town with the current coverage already held, if not additional coverage, for significantly less cost.
I move to adopt the resolution number 2014-0505-1 to enter into the agreement with the Virginia Associations of Counties Group Self-Insurance Risk Pool, coverage to be effective July 1, 2014.
Second.
Motion's on the floor, seconded by Ms. Bear. Any discussion?
Just to confirm, Brian, we did not get a breakout of the actual policy coverage from the VML, so we can compare apples to apples for sure.
We did look at those. We could not find VML's direct breakout. We do have the most recent cost estimate that they sent for the upcoming year, which breaks them out slightly, but it is coverage, match coverage for coverage.
You know that how? Because
This
you said you
is
couldn't find a breakout.
Well, what I'm getting at is essentially when we had VACO count and stuff, they understood what coverage we had through VML, so they quoted us for the same exact coverage.
Therein lies my question. If they know what the actual policy covers on by line basis up to a certain liability amounts, how come we don't know that? But that's what I was asking for at the work session that you emailed said that you could provide. But if they somehow had that information to derive a quote for us, then we should have had that information somewhere.
What I'm trying to say is, like, the most detailed information we had is what we provided. I mean, I can show you all the quotes from both estimates if you'd like to see them.
That's not what I wanted to see.
That's the only place it's shown. It's breaking them out. That's what I would tell you.
Any other discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Aiken.
Yes.
Bear.
Yes.
Ernest.
Yes.
Carl.
Yes.
Henry.
Yeah.
Rice.
No.
Okay. Next line item is our general obligation bond debt.
Mr. Mayor, I'm going to recuse myself from discussion as such due to my employment issues.
Okay. That's a recommendation.
Mr. Mayor, the only thing I really can add to this is that one of the things I just want to call your attention to, this actually does not obligate the town or the council in any way, shape, or form with regard to the restructuring of the debt. This actually is only authorizing VML VACO Finance to go out and research and bring us back proposals. They will have these proposals by the next, should be the next council meeting. We are intending on getting this finished before the start of the new fiscal year.
Okay. All right.
I move to adopt the resolution of intent, RES number 2014-0505-2, authorizing to proceed with application 2 in coordination with VML/VACO Finance for the issuance by the town of a refunding bond and the execution and delivery of certain documents prepared in connection therewith.
All right. discussion? Are any known banks that are part of this?
BML Vaco Finance made it very clear to us that they will be happy to go to any banks that we wish for them to approach with the refinance.
Okay.
So if we want them to approach all local banks, that's perfectly plausible. We just have to say which banks that we'd like them to approach. They do have banks that they currently work with throughout the state, but they also have made it very clear that they can approach any bank that we ask.
Okay.
I would make a recommendation that we request that they approach any banks that have a presence in the town limits to give them an opportunity to bid.
As well as others that they would recommend that may have a lower percentage of interest.
I have approached any local banks
Right.
and get additional info.
Well, of course, they're going to get additional ones. They've got their own state.
Okay.
But we've got several banks in the town limits that ought to have opportunity to help assist us here.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Not a problem.
No further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Aiken.
Yes.
Bear.
Yes.
Thomas.
Yes.
Scarborough.
Yes.
Kimberly.
Great. All right, our next line item. For HVAC.
I had one question, and this might be more towards Milt than anyone else, since he's the expert here. Or more of an expert than I am, let's put it that way. It appears to me that the difference between the 13 SEER and 15 SEER is several $1,000s. And my limited knowledge on this, I didn't think that we would get over a 10, 15-year period, cost savings in electricity for to pay that back. Am I incorrect in that?
Doubt very seriously you'd see that much of an increase over between 13 and 15.
There wouldn't be a significant cost savings there. So should we spend a couple thousand more?
Case being that the 15's going to handle the job no matter what. And you're not going to have anything that's overworked.
Okay. This is more duty cycle,
Right.
that sort of stuff, rather than energy efficiency.
I mean, normally, if somebody, the 15 was like that compared to the 13, it's going to be coming on for a shorter period of time, gets the job done, cuts
It
itself
shuts
off.
All right.
Whereas the other is going to be constant on and on and on.
I just wanted to make sure I understood. Thank you.
I'll make a motion to authorize town manager to enter into an agreement with BMS for the replacement of the upstairs HVAC unit at the police department, utilizing funds from the vehicle powered equipment supplies from the public safety line item in the approved budget.
That would be for the 15s here.
15 SEER, yes, sir.
Second.
Motion and second by Ms. Bear. Any discussion on this? Roll call vote, please.
Aiken.
Yes.
Bear.
Yes.
Thomas.
Yes.
Scarborough.
Yes.
Kimberly.
Aye.
Spice.
Our next item, pedestrian improvement grant.
You have a sheet that has revised draft motions in front of you. The town attorney clarified the motion to make sure it was clear that these are for design services and not for construction services, which would be a separate phase and a separate fee arrangement. And in addition, we have the town's attorney and the consultant have not come to agreement yet on the terms and conditions. So if you could move forward with if you move forward to move to award the project, it would be subject to terms and conditions to be approved by the town attorney. Since that condition is present, I gave you a second option to move to table it until those, till next month, until those issues could be resolved.
Okay.
What do you recommend? If we hold off, is that going to hold anything up? Or
It's
is
not-
it going to stand still?
It's not going to change it because we can't allow them to start billing if there's nothing in this budget. So we have to wait till the next fiscal year anyhow
Okay.
to allow them to start billing. So there's no real impact. but it's truly your choice.
Well, I move to table the discussion to the decision to award the architectural and engineering design contract for the pedestrian improvement project, EDAP project number 00552333045, UPC 97735, until June town council meeting.
All right, motion been seconded by Ms. Scarborough. Discussion on the motion.
What was your date? Did you table it to the chair?
Jim?
Gotcha. There were just people counting the things I didn't hear, and the mics aren't very loud, I'd like to.
Next meeting.
So, any further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Aiken.
Yes.
Mayor.
Yes.
Carnes.
Yes.
Scarborough.
Yes.
Kenworthy. Sparks.
Thank you. Item G, our historic district overlay.
I move the town council take no action to amend the boundary of the old and historic Haymarket District overlay.
Motion on the floor,
I'll second that.
seconded by Mr. Aiken. Discussion.
I'd like to start this off. Throughout the entire public hearing process, the only two negative comments we heard were in reference to home values dropping and HOAs that could dissolve. I'm just curious if anyone else has bothered to go on Land Rover and compare assessment values of the homes on Green Hill Crossing Drive that are in Haymarket and in Gainesville to see what the value situation is. Anybody? HOAs in Haymarket, yes, the HOA could vote to dissolve itself. Then, according to our subdivision ordinance, we would then make them start a new one, because for their subdivision to get approved, it was in the ordinance. They have to have an HOA. Those were the only two negative comments brought. By shrinking our district so our contributing resources are not so grossly outnumbered by all of the new development, increasing our ARB by simply 2 staff members who would have the clerk who has her art history background and either the town manager or town planner who have the planning along with the architect, we meet the criteria CLG would call for expertise on the board. It opens us up to grant funding. I'll be meeting after meeting after meetings to, at the 0 hour, change our minds. 5 members of the Planning Commission all sent this forward unanimously to work on this district. When you compare those 5 residents to the 5 that came to the different public hearings, we're kind of equal. So I just think it's extraordinarily reckless of us to do away with this for personal opinions on information and opinion that I have not been able to substantiate. There is no difference in housing value that I found doing a square foot value of homes between Gainesville and Haymarket, except just looking at the square footage ones. The ones in Gainesville actually come out to be a little more per square foot for their value. Without everyone going and looking at this, the fact that you are dismissing it now based on no actual evidence and not equally weighing everyone's opinions that have come forward, it's just ludicrous that we spent all this time, and if someone had changed their opinion on the majority of council, maybe saying something quite a bit sooner than waiting for the 0 hour would have been nice.
I took a different tact. I agree with you that I don't think any HOA is going to disband. I don't think the price of homes makes a difference here. I looked at the different things, the benefits of doing this, the grant funding in that, and discussions with Mashant in that. There is nothing, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mashant, there is nothing that, whether or not we do this or not, we're going to be eligible for the same grants. There's no new grants here. There's no, the benefits that were told to us don't exist from what I've been told. And therefore, why make a change if there are no benefits? We were, again, correct me if I'm wrong, when we were given this designation and we had 100% of town in it, it was done in a legal fashion, and therefore our historic district meets the criteria of other historic districts and can gain the same grants that anyone else can if we apply.
But not the CLG and what they have.
This CLG you would. We did confirm with the state coordinator for the CLG program. The current boundaries would qualify for that certification. We would have to adopt a separate ordinance where we require certain expertise on the ARB in order to qualify for
The
that.
same expertise would have to do if we shrunk the boundaries, so there's no difference.
And my opinion has never faltered and never wavered. My value is not monetary. It is my home. I bought the house knowing that it was within a historic district. I like the fact that my home is within a historic district. Most residents like the fact that their home is within a historic district, not cut out and carved away from it.
Thank you, Ken. I'll add my 2 cents in this, too. I agree with you, Ms. Bear, as far as HOA dissolving. But let me remind you that in our HOAs, Longstreet and all the other ones that we do have, we have things called DCCRs, and we have ARB guidelines. And as we know, directors can flip and serve in these HOAs, so too the ARB guidelines can change at a direction of a board of directors and not even include the membership. So by having these guidelines in play that kind of mirror the town's ARBs, it is a check and balance. If you were to allow a set of directors to get in and want pink colors being used in the homes, of course, your membership would probably revolt, but the fact is it could be done. You could then change our 4-foot picket fence theme that we have in one community and put on a 8-foot board on board just by the change of a guideline. So I think it is a good check and balance to keep it within the purview of the town and have these both working together, and as they have, and as they've been adopted. I think the town, obviously, especially with Greenhill, had a big input on what they wanted that community to look like. And I wouldn't just leave it up to an HOA in 5 years from now and what they consider. So we'll continue going around the table. Ms. Scarborough?
Yeah, I was on the board when we started this years and years and years ago, and I think it's a good thing, and I think we should keep it the way it is.
Okay.
For all the reasons stated prior.
Thank you. Mr. Kenworthy?
We'll leave it just like it is.
Okay. Any further discussion, Mr. Tobias?
The only thing I'll say is just to, one of the things you mentioned about whether or not HOAs would decide to ink shutters and put the horseshoes on the side of a house would look good or what have you is quite frankly, the guidelines as I understand them and interpret them are designed primarily for areas of common observation while traversing through the town, not necessarily the back streets of neighborhoods, etc. That being said, I agree that HOA boards can change, but I doubt seriously the majority of an HOA board or the majority of a membership of any of the local HOAs is going to allow pink shutters and purple horseshoes on the side of the house. Secondly, I do remember that Chairman Weir of the Planning Commission had made comments in regards to the defensibility of our guidelines given such a large inclusive area. I have some concerns about that as far as if a newer development owner had some issues with our ARB, which are supposed to be about the historic district, in a house that was built in 2012, 2013, is certainly not historic. I have some questions about the defensibility of these guidelines being that they're so overreaching and inclusive. And lastly, I'd have to concur with Rebecca in that, with the exception of Kat, who has been fairly vocal against this from the get-go, we spent a lot of money and a lot of time a lot of resources to go through this exercise, if you will. Marchand spent a lot of time on it. The ARB spent some time on it. The Planning Commission spent a heck of a lot of time on it. Our attorney spent some time on it. The clerk spent some time on it. You guys have exhausted a lot of resources, and quite frankly, you're throwing it down the drain. And I find that to be reprehensible that you guys didn't speak up sooner. Like I said, the only person that spoke up about this during this whole charade was Kat. You know, and nobody else. Everybody else, we had very lively discussions about how big the district should be, whether or not we should include the fairgrounds project or fairgrounds property, whether or not we should include the backside of 84 Lumber, the Rose Building, and whether or not Madison Street, this particular house or that particular house, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, this dates back quite a long time. A lot of resources that you guys are now just quite frankly wasting. And, you know, the vote is what it is, and you guys are all entitled to your opinion, but I do find that, you know, pretty important that you guys are waiting for the last minute to change your minds.
Thank you.
You know, certainly you're right, but I find it important. The only person I'll give any kudos to is Kat for sticking her ground the whole time.
Thank you. Jennifer, has this been brought up prior councils, this, as far as the public hearings for the historic district?
The council did vote previously. Two previous councils did look at amending the district and decided to take no action. This council brought it up again, and the action's before you now.
Yeah, I thought there was one resident mentioned that there's been several public hearings on this. So this is like an ongoing...
There has,
With this
for your
council-
initiative, with this application, this initiative on the council's part, there has been multiple public hearings by the commission and the council.
But it wasn't that it was being brought back. You know, they kind of seemed to think that whoever had brought it forward initially had been told no, but kept bringing it back. That isn't what the case was.
Correct.
It has just been the process with advertising and changing this and adding that and doing that. We had to re-advertise. We had to keep doing it. So,
I believe we had previous public hearings.
We did.
well, yeah,
With another council.
yes,
Right, okay. All right, great. That was uncommon.
Yeah, but it was a different design, too, at the same time. The previous
yes.
That's correct.
I was on the previous council. It was a totally different design, totally different. This was a complete rework from what was brought forward in 2010, 2011. So, I mean, again, you know, as Rebecca said, it's, you know, you guys should have spoken up a while back. We would have saved a lot of time and a lot of effort.
And money.
And a bunch of paper tonight.
Yeah. All right. All right. Seeing no further discussion, roll call vote, please.
Aiken.
Yes.
Bear.
No.
Harness.
Yes.
Scarborough.
Yes.
Kenworthy.
Yeah.
Sykes.
Nope.
All right, great. All right, our next item.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Brought up at the work session, we had received 4 proposals for a parking ordinance review. The commission recommended 2 of the 4. It's EPR and Berkeley Group. Staff going through the 2 remaining proposals has recommended EPR. We've provided draft motions to award either group the contract and then allocate funding to proceed with that ordinance review. So I'd be happy to answer any questions.
What is the timeline for EPR to get back to us with a recommendation?
2.5 months.
EPR was PC's first choice, correct? And
Yes, ma'am.
Berkeley was second.
Correct. The EPR had, I think, a better understanding, local knowledge of what the issues were.
And they also had the shorter time period for...
Yes, ma'am, they did.
I move that the town council award EPR PC in association with Hurd Planning and Design and
Simpoetica.
Simpoetica be awarded the contract for the town of Haymarket parking ordinance and needs assessment based on the proposal dated March 13th, 2014.
Second.
There's also an additional motion for allocating the funding. That's 1C.
I further move that the town council appropriate and allocate funds from the capital reserves for the said service not to exceed $15,000.
So seconded.
All right, great. Discussion on this motion? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Aiken.
Yes.
Bear.
Yes.
Harness.
Yes.
Scarborough.
Yes.
Kenworthy.
Yeah.
Sykes.
Great. Great, thank you. Next item is 1474 Washington Street repairs.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mr. Mayor. Just to kind of recap a little bit, provide a background for you where we've been to this point. We have a couple projects that are left to be made at 14740 Washington Street. First, looking at the remediation in the back room, it's my recommendation to go with Service Master to remove that. Per our work session, I have included ServPro. What I did was rather take, including all the pictures in this council package, rather lengthy, and as it is, we just gave you the nuts and bolts of the estimate from PureClean. Secondly, as mentioned at the work session, there are several projects. Not one of the projects involved would be over the $2,500 spending limit. However, rather than compartmentalizing the project, I'd like to just be able to work with Genesis, who is our public works contractors, once again to go through and basically do all the projects all at once. It would require us waiving, but I'm only asking for in this particular case, just so we can expedite the work over at the food pantry.
Okay.
I move that we authorize the town manager to enter into a contract with Service Master to have the mold removal and remediation of the rear rooms at 14740 Washington Street, and have the town manager work with Genesis Contracting Consultancy to address the work recommended with the structural engineering's report not to exceed $7,500.
Questions on the floor? Second. Second by Mr. Aiken. Discussion?
Right, there's some discussion at the work session in regards to the estimate that were received between Service Master and whether or not we're truly getting the same level of service from Service Master. If you go do this, I mean, the estimate that is coming from Service Master is very broad in scope and topic, whereas the estimate that is given by ServPro is very detailed in scope and topic. And it's just my concern that
Are we getting like for like? The only thing I can say is I'm meeting with all three, and I did meet with Brett Dalrymple with PureClean. Brett, his company is a highly specialized company that does deal with this. I think you have a wide range. Brett was one of the first ones to look at it. He may have taken, I don't know if it was one of those things where he gotten a good enough look at it from the standpoint, whereas Brett Dalrymple is the president of PureClean. I'm sorry, I apologize. Both Service Master and even ServPro, when they came out to do this, they do this on. They have much more crews at their disposal. So I don't know if that could play any role in the reason why they can actually do this more cost effectively. They have come in and looked at it. They know exactly what we're looking at. Brett did say I could reach back out to PureClean as well. That estimate though, straight from PureClean, actually was leaving it in a state of, they weren't putting any drywall back. It would be just removal and everything. So as far as I know, unless they're doing an extensive amount of more work than what Service Master and ServPro all were of the mindset they're removing it, same thing as PureClean, and that's how they're going to remediate it at the same time. They use micro scrubbers, they clean the air. The only thing, none of the estimates or proposals included was coming back for post-testing to make sure everything was cleared out. What I'm trying to say is, as best we can tell, we got like for like.
Why did you make a mention that PureClean specifically did not include replacement of drywall?
Because what I was trying to say is, I wanted to make sure that was out there, that was not included in their estimate.
And neither was it included in either of the others.
Correct. So I wanted to make sure that was not a misconception that they were actually going to put back the drywall or anything to that effect.
And what was your last statement in regards to coming back out and retesting?
That all three firms recommended to us that no matter what work is done, they will clean out the work and they do everything to make sure it's clean and safe, but they will not do the testing themselves. They recommend that you do a post-test. So that would be requiring us to bring out the mold inspection tester company, MMTS, I believe it is, John Given, and retest the area after the remediation is completed.
And what is the assurance or guarantee from Service Master if they come back out and retest and find that the mold or something still exists in the same area that we just paid them to clean?
They have to come come back out and get it.
Is that
Finish it.
written in the contract somewhere?
We will. We haven't entered into a contract. We've only got an estimate for
I
the
mean,
work.
I don't see it in their estimate either.
Okay.
I'm extremely concerned, that they are
very
one-third the cost of one company and one-half the cost of another company.
It is a very valid
Because
concern.
having gone through this in my own particular home, regardless of who paid for it, whether it was me or my insurance, that's a tremendous difference when you have one company doing it for half of another and a third of the other. And granted, I know that Service Master is a good company, and I know that they've been out there for a long period of time, et cetera. But I find it extremely hard to believe that we're comparing true apples to apples when you've got an estimate, one-third of one and one-half of the other. And I just caution you that before you enter into any agreements, that you make sure that you cover the town sufficiently.
Yes.
Because I don't want to have to see any council spend another $2,700 to do it a second time, when we could have just spent $5,500 with the motion.
Right.
Any further? Sorry?
As for part two of the motion, again, I'll caution you guys, you're setting a precedent when you're going against the policy here. When you're going against the thoughts and processes that have been drummed up by council previously as far as our expense policies. As such, would you consider changing or modifying your motion and separating these two categories? Two repairs?
Sure. Okay, part one, I move that we authorize town manager to enter into a contract with Service Masters who have the mold removal and remediation of the rear rooms at 14740 Washington Street.
Motion on the floor. Second by Mr. Aiken. Further discussion on this motion?
For not to exceed cost?
That would be part two of that.
No, that's a...
No, ma'am. Our Service Master would have its own not to exceed.
All right, and our quote from Service Master is not to exceed $2,800.
Okay. Second by Mr. Aiken? Yes. Okay. Any further discussion on this? Roll call vote, please, on the first motion.
Oh, I had it.
Sorry.
Are you sure we don't want to consider tabling that to have him make the comparison so we're not paying double? I mean, that was Jay's whole comment. I mean, I know we had a motion while we had our discussion, but I mean, if it is possible that the half the cost isn't going to cover as much, I mean, do we want to do the comparison before we might have to do it multiple times?
Right, and the other question is, what is the cost of putting the drywall back on? And is there a cost, what is the cost then for the retest? And then a clarification of if there is then mold found on the retest.
I think the biggest
That's
thing.
normally a separate contractor when it goes to
Oh,
drywall.
yeah, the separate contractor would be to come test it if that then test is
No, I'm talking about
positive.
repairing it.
He's talking about the reconstruction. It's going to be totally different. He wants to work with Genesis on.
Well, no, it's more of a matter of, I would actually not say it's necessarily to work, so we can work with them one. I would say more as a matter of the fact that since we don't really have a long-term decision made with what we're going to do with the properties, it would actually be my recommendation from the standpoint of we just leave it bare. You might want to put up insulation, but really at most we're using it for storage at this time until we can make it so it really would be worth it put in the cost. As far as with the testing and everything, I think everything that you're raising is a valid concern. The only thing I can tell you is that all three organizations did go in, they inspected the site, they put together an estimate on what it would cost. Why
yes,
Service
they're gonna
Master
fix and
came in
remove.
so low, I really couldn't tell you.
No, my only question is,
They
if we come
inspected-
and remove it and say, okay, it's great and clean, we go pay for the retest, it comes back positive, what is then the recourse there?
What I would tend to say is, here's what I would recommend do. Let me get with Service Master to verify that is what we expect. We will take care of the retest. I think that's something we have to do anyway. And you want a third party doing it anyhow. You do not want the company that's doing the removal and remediation to be doing it. With that being said, what I'd say is, let me go work with them to say, no, if it doesn't come back clean, if you're verifying, you looked at the same problem, you had the same report to look at. They looked at our mold inspection test. When they looked at it, all three organizations had that same test and those results. As to why they're different, I don't know. Pure Clean put a lot more detail into the report. I'm not going to deny that. I don't know if they're more thorough, they have better techniques, they have more equipment, I don't know. All three describe the same thing, sealing off the area, removing it, taking it out.
Okay.
That's
My
what I can tell
recourse
you.
on the after test being positive is my main concern. If it is comes back positive, are they gonna come back and redo it at their cost?
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what the estimate
So
they
then
would
I
come
will
in.
revise my motion to table this until questions are answered.
Okay.
Yeah, Brian, there's a lot of, when you look at the service master, I mean, I just reread 3/4 of it right now. There's way too much unknown from the quote you've obtained from the service master. To the extent that what really are we actually paying them for? Because all it says is the estimate cost is for demo and mold remediation only, does not include plumbing, replacing cabinets, drywall, flooring, etc. Does not include HVAC system work, ductwork cleaning, but we recommend that it be done. I mean, it doesn't tell you exactly what they're doing, doesn't tell you which rooms they're doing, doesn't tell you anything. Quite frankly, I would say that this bid doesn't even meet the request for proposal, to be honest with you. Quite honestly, it doesn't give you any details. So I agree with Kat, table it till next month and get some questions answered.
Mr. Aiken, you're agreeing to table?
Or we could table it for a public hearing for the budget is. Can we take up any other meeting business that night? Can you table it till May 19th for the sake of two reasons? Number one, we're going to be here anyway. Number two, that gives them 2 weeks to get the answers, and we allow the work to hopefully start soon once we get everything.
Once we get our answers.
And Brian, I would strongly suggest that you get a detailed estimate from Service Master.
Okay.
If they have to come back out and look at the project again, so be it. But
And that would also
what
be-
they wrote here, I'd never hired to do anything.
That would also be my recommendation on the second part of that motion with Genesis Contracting. Once we get answers with the service master, that would then,
Well, Genesis and Service Master have nothing to do with it.
Yeah,
Genesis
they
I
are
would
doing
take that to the 26th to 19th as well.
yeah.
They're doing, the work that they'd be doing is completely unrelated to the back room. This is the repointing of the foundation bricks, as well as sistering the joints that Dave Hall noticed in the picture. It'd also be putting down the 6 mil plastic within the cellar area. This is under the crawl space to, in other words, you're keeping from moisture getting up from the earthen structure underneath. That's mostly the work that Genesis would be doing. We're not, the work that Genesis would
Would
be
that be
doing.
something that needs to be done after remediation is done?
Yeah.
Kat, I would strongly suggest that you allow 6I to continue to be tabled until the 19th as well, the whole subject matter. If you would, I still have questions that Brian's not answered on 6I.
Any other opinions from council on that?
It's just until the 19th, it's 2 weeks.
Okay,
It's not
I mean,
a
it's
big
not
deal.
a month. 2 weeks gives us time to get some answers and still get things moving quickly.
All right, I move to table the repairs 14740 Washington Street to our budget meeting on the 19th.
Okay. And I think Mr. Aiken, were you second on that? Yeah. Okay, great.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. Discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Zoning appeals appointment.
I move to authorize the town attorney to recommend to the Circuit Court of Prince William County the names of Robert Day, Sheila Torbeau, and Kenneth Schick for reappointment to the Board of Zoning Appeals as a regular member for a 5-year term ending January 31st, 2019.
Second.
Second. Is there just one particular that we were looking at appointing?
Sure. The way that the circuit court works is that they ask for 3 nominations, put them in the order of your preference, and in my experience, they picked the first one.
Okay.
But it did one open.
Okay, great. Okay.
Did we put these in the order?
Yes.
No,
Yes.
she gets picked. Didn't we finish?
Okay. Any further discussion on this? Vote, please.
Aiken.
Yes.
Bear.
Yes.
Thomas. Yep. Scarlett. Yes. England. Price.
Item K, our appropriation request.
I move to approve the expenditure for the attached invoice for $225 for Genesis, which resulted in $182 overage of the town's defined spending policy for the sump pump installation.
Second.
Motion been seconded by Ms. Bear. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Brian, have you made contact with Genesis and informed them of their need to complete due diligence before they start a project in the future?
Yes, I
So
have.
This does not happen again? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Roll call vote, please.
Pickett?
Yes.
Bear?
Yes.
Price? Scarborough?
Yes.
Henry?
Aye.
List?
Right. Department reports. Treasurer's report. Anything new?
Just to reiterate, for the sake of the audience here who was not here for the work session, it was my intent to draft a resolution for the council to adopt towards the end of June in regards to refunding back to the taxpayers, similar to what we did in 2011.
10.
10. What we did before.
What we did before.
In regards to whatever excess revenue we realize at the end of the audit in August, it would be refunded back to the taxpayers in the appropriate percentages as was done in 2010. So just for those watching tonight or here tonight, that's my intent.
As would be mine.
And currently, that number appeared to be approximately 120-ish
120.
right now.
I would think that we would just do a round number.
I'm going to do it to like 10.
I'm concerned about this. So we're going to refund. How much debt are we at right now? $1.6 million in debt. We have a town center project that's, we had guesstimates, our first phase, the engineering, everything like that.
Engineering, we have it at roughly $100,000,
Yep.
Right.
Roughly about 500,000.
which has already been funded with our proposed budget. So,
I think
The budget covers all that and still leaves
Yeah.
$1.2 million in cash.
yeah, 1.2
But you guys are
million.
going through the charade of rebonding and rebidding the bonds, which seems, using your logic, doesn't seem sensible in that if you have the cash to pay off the debt, you pay off the debt. But there's also the consideration of, quite frankly, council has previously not shown to be good stewards of the residents' monies. Why would that change anytime soon? Because it hasn't changed in the 10 or 11 years I've lived in town. So give it back to the council members. You guys are worried about their tax bills going up. You guys are worried about their assessments going up. You guys are worried about all sorts of things. Give them back some of their money.
I don't consider the debt restructuring a charade, even though I think it's going to save us six figures. So that's something that should have been done a year or plus ago that we were trying to get done. I think it was January of 13 when I first brought that up. But I think that the money should be invested back in the aesthetics of the properties that the town does own. So that's just my opinion. We'll go around the table. Mr. Oakley, do you have any feelings on this?
I'd probably lean towards giving it back. I mean, it's not a huge amount, and it shows the citizens that we're trying to be the best stewards we can.
Yes, I agree with Jay, Kent, and Steve. At our last budget work session, when we did all of our tweaking, we have all of our projects funded for next year for the CIP. We were able not to raise the taxes, and in addition to that, it looks like we're having $120,000 surplus from rollover from this year. We're on the right track. I mean, the CIP, the way it's done out, it's a nice little map for the next council and councils to follow. I mean, we've done an excellent job, and we can do this. So, yes, refund.
Absolutely refund it to the citizens of this town. They deserve that.
Ms. Scarborough?
I'm fine with that as well.
Mr. Kenworthy?
No,
You don't feel that a refund is necessary?
I'd like to see you go back and apply to the debt.
Okay. Mr. Tobias? Any further comments?
I kind of opened the discussion, sir. I don't have anything else to say.
Okay.
My intent
Giving
has
you
been made.
to speak there.
Once we have a number, we won't have a number, but we'll have a motion.
All right. Any further information on the treasurers? We'll move to our treasurer's report. Ms. Holly?
Yes, I wanted to let everybody know that VDOT has scheduled a Pardon My Dust meeting here at Town Hall this Thursday, May 8th at 6:30 p.m. They also obtained from us the list of our residents and addresses so they could send out mailings, not just to our residents, but also the greater community. But we've been coordinating with them in terms of being able to contact our residents as well. So I encourage council to attend, or any homeowners associations that you want to pass that on. And the more information out there, the better.
Do you know if they have mailed those already?
I don't know. Yeah, it was short notice.
Thursday?
It is this Thursday, May 8th at 6:30 p.m. here at Town Hall.
That was a good news deal.
Jennifer, is it possible we can send out like an email blast, Jennifer? Is it possible we could do like an email blast on this meeting?
Get it on our website and page as well.
Is there also, Holly, is there any discussion, I think, as far as the sound wall, as far as the schedule, I know that that's kind of been up in the air.
The only schedule information, I'm hoping they will also address it because it keeps coming up, but the only schedule information that I was given is spring to fall of 2015. And when I asked if it had changed, it had not. If it ever does, I will definitely let you know. And I do want to let you know on the I-66 Route 15 interchange project, the protest I told you about last time had been withdrawn. So the diverging diamond is going to the Commonwealth Transportation Board for approval in May this month. VDOT is not releasing any details until the Commonwealth Transportation Board adopts it. So next month I will have definitely much more information on what's happening with the interchange.
Any other questions for Holly? All right, thank you for your time. Our planners report, Marshall.
Mayor, I have nothing to add unless the council has questions.
Any questions for Marshall? He's here.
Can you give me an update on situation down there in the temporary and the occupancy permit for next level and such, and where that stands? I understand that you might be coming with an appeal or a request for a waiver.
Correct. So last September, the council approved temporary occupancy for Next Level Fitness. This was for the enclosure of a loading bay on the rear of the building. Part of that approval was that they submitted a zoning determination letter by December 31st of last year. Mr. Lombardozzi had challenged several standards that Holly and myself were imposing on his enclosure. He just recently submitted that zoning determination. Part of the reason I think the council conditioned that, I believe Mr. Tobias or Councilman Tobias, this was at your suggestion, was that in order to ensure that September 1 is a deadline, temporary occupancy permit ends, all the improvements and the site plan are to be approved by then and installed. The idea of going in December is that he didn't delay that opening. He just now submitted that determination letter, and he's also asked to meet with staff to talk about a site plan comments. It'll take about a month for us to do the zoning determination letter and get back to the council with our review and recommendation. I'm assuming that if it's in his favor, he's not going to have to do any more work in the building. If the determination comes out that he is going to have to do the improvements that we've suggested he has to through the ordinance, then he'll have till September 1st and we'll have to work hard to make it happen. So,
is it improvements to the building or improvements to the grounds surrounding the building?
The grounds surrounding the building. It's parking, landscaping, and lighting are the three elements that we're looking at. So, I'm sorry, that was a long-winded answer.
Is there any way to expedite that for them? Instead of taking a month, is there any way that staff can expedite that any quicker simply because September 1st is right around the corner?
Understood.
If he's going to challenge it, I'd rather see it.
It was addressed to the council. He's looking for the council. We will draft a determination for you, but we would need you to review that and agree whether or not you support the content of that letter. So we would have to have a special meeting in order to do that ahead of the next month. So
we have a meeting on the 19th. Is that too soon?
19th of this month. Can I get back to you on that?
Sure.
So, the risk of sounding snippy. This was a deadline he was supposed to meet in December. He was aware of it. So, but
I know that the longer get dragged on this side, and if the council doesn't get back to them, then it becomes another council's problem, which
Gotcha.
is another council's problem anyway, but the longer, the closer it gets to September 1st, then that leaves the tenant unfairly in a bind. And the building owner is playing games.
Okay. I'll get back to you on getting that for you on the 19th. The 19th is a budget
It's a budget plus
hearing.
14,170 plus possibly.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. All right. Our building official report, anything to add there? No? Move on to the museum report. Nothing to add? Questions? Move to our police department report.
Go to the bull room, right up. On the museum. Picture of Denise on the front page. Press.
Anything further on the police department report?
Yes, actually. I would like to make a motion that the town council waive closed session privilege for the investigation, suspensions, and suspension compliance of Chief Roop, Deputy Chief Greg Breeden, and Officer Jake Davis.
We have a motion on the floor for second for discussion.
Second for discussion.
Okay. So, this has not been obviously an agenda item on our thing. Martin, are you aware of this at all? Okay.
After our work session and the other issues that we took up, another article came out, and I've been asked lots of questions by residents. I would love to be able to answer, but since it was done in closed session, I've honored our closed session agreement. But I would love to be able to answer the questions. I can't speak for other council members, but the proper way to do it, bring it up here, have a vote, and let council decide.
I think we would weigh heavily on our legal opinion on this matter. And, go ahead, sir.
I just want to clarify whether you intend to waive all of the privileges associated with documents that have been requested, for example, in Chief Roop's Freedom of Information Act request, which includes the attorney-client privilege, the attorney work product privilege, and the FOIA privilege, FOIA exemption for closed session items.
Well, I was trying to keep mine broad just for the, purpose that if other council members wanted to answer these questions, not be under the fear of being censured. The motion's not going to pass. I'm making a point.
Well, okay, and because in addition, there's the personnel records exemption. Normally, we keep confidential for a number of reasons, but I just wanted to understand which ones we were talking about. Thank you.
VML has said, we're free to, disclose information, but it's the picking and choosing of which ones that get said, with everyone else abiding by it in its entirety. As I said, I've been asked a lot of questions, and I would really like to be able to give people an honest answer. But I haven't because of the agreement we made to keep it in closed session. And then even after the work session, it happened again. So either waive the privilege so everyone can answer questions, or let's keep personnel matters confidential the way they're supposed to be.
Any further discussion? Roll call vote, please. Sir. Speak up, Mr. Device.
Well, I was waiting for you to finish your sentence, sir. And sometimes people want to think before they speak to the press.
Go ahead, sir.
Sometimes. I'm not saying that I'd be one to speak out against or in favor of sharing information that I learned about personnel matters, et cetera, but I think that each council member, should they want to, seeing as how the precedent has been set by the mayor, they should be able to. So, I would actually vote in favor of this in all likelihood, even though I may not partake in the privilege.
Okay. further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Aiken.
No.
Bear.
I motioned, I have to vote yes.
No.
Scarborough.
Yes.
Kenworthy.
Yes.
Tobias.
Aye.
Oh, wow.
I think, Mr. Martin,
So can I get some clarification from council then, since it did pass?
We're gonna close that. We're gonna-
Okay. So we're going to discuss the scope of that effective close up?
okay.
What does that matter? You just said you can release something in closed session. What does it matter? We go into it.
He was curious about his work product.
Yeah.
I believe that his work product may have, what you may have written down in notes is one thing, what you may have heard with your ears is one thing, what Martin has advised council on, another thing. So I think that there needs to be a bit of discussion amongst council for that. I mean, we can talk about it out here if we want, or we're going to close it, it doesn't matter to me.
Well, let's see, how much more do we have to go here? So,
Event planner report in closed session.
right.
Actually, I have a question for the police officer in attendance, if he would step up since you're here. How are you this evening, sir?
Good.
So the only question I have, somebody made mention to me the other day about the work zone, both the one in town and the one on 66.
Okay.
In town,
All right.
so to speak. And I know that the one on 66 does have signs that say work zone ahead. What is the ordinance in regards to the doubling of fines in a work safety zone? Should there be a sign out on 66 and on 55 that authorizes the doubling of fines for speeding through work zones? Is there an ordinance requirement in the state of Virginia for that? Or is it something you write the right citation code for, no matter whether or not it's posted as such or not?
It's not, as far as the enforcement aspect goes, it's not necessarily a separate code section that we would write for it. On the summons itself, it indicates was this a work zone or not, workers present or not, that type of deal. So we can mark it as a work zone or not. As far as what the Commonwealth deems a work zone, that would be something that we have to go a little bit further into, because what's been relayed to me by state police is that if VDOT has a set up work zone, essentially orange cones, there's some form of VDOT representative either assigned to it or there, the state police consider that a work zone, and they document that come court time should there be certain moving violations taking place through that work zone. Cones were present, workers were present. This was the hours and times of that aspect. As far as what the legal aspect of what the Commonwealth deemed 100% what a work zone is, it might be a better question for the gentleman sitting next to you. But state police have told me that they're already implementing that kind of work zone notation for any summonses they write on 66 while the work zone is active.
Okay. How quickly do you think Chris Fittler could draft an answer to that question as far as what is a defined? Unless you have it. In other words, I don't want to assign it to you, and then you know what you do it, you spend 12 hours trying to figure it out.
I don't think 12 hours, yeah. I don't think we could do that pretty rapidly, less than an hour, probably less than half an hour.
Would you do that?
Yeah.
And keep it at the bare minimum of expense, but just for some direction for Officer Shaver and the rest of the crew, simply because, no offense to the illustrious boys in the gray and blue cars, but I know quite a few of them, they don't always know them all either, so let's get our points. One of whom pulled someone over for 75 and a 70 on Saturday, in our work zone.
In our work zone?
In our work zone.
Where do we have a 7-mile-an-hour zone in our work zone,
Well,
sir?
it's 7, now they pulled him for a 7, right, entering our work zone, where the speed limit goes from 70 right out here, coming
To
in.
65?
Yeah, pulled him over in the work zone and hit him at 75 coming out of the 7.
Gotcha.
Trooper Asher, you know,
Absolutely.
very good friend of mine.
I know for the residential districts, you do have to post it in order to get the $200 extra, but I don't
And that's a separate code section.
That's a separate, that's what I was saying, that's a separate, we had a problem with that being enforced properly on Fayette and on Augusta Street a while back, because you guys weren't writing it, well, not necessarily you guys, the guys at the time weren't writing it in the right code section.
Yes. Thank you. We'll do an email.
Thank you, sir. Thanks, sir.
One moment, Officer Shaver. While you're up here, I was going to mention this during my council member time, but it seems appropriate now. I just want to, in open session, thank you for your stepping up during the 2 months that you were the town sergeant for us, and taking care of us and making sure everything worked well until everyone's back on duty.
Yes, sir.
So I just want to thank you for that, and I think you did a great job, and we appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Yes. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Chuck.
Okay, town manager's report.
I really don't have anything to add. I'll be happy to answer any other questions. I did want to offer one clarification to the council. I think there was a little bit of misspeak at our work session. We will be coming to you all with a recommendation with regard to how to proceed with assist. We've determined that we've had quite a few pros and cons with regard to assist, but I believe there was just a little bit nervous in the use of the wrong word to say we decided. I feel that that was a council decision when it was purchased. I think in the long run, that's still the way we would recommend that you all proceed, but we will bring a formal recommendation to you all in June to move forward with QuickBooks. With that being said, we are looking at various different versions of QuickBooks that our treasurer has recommended. The nonprofit version actually tends to lend itself a little bit better to the reporting that we're looking to try to increase. And we have been in touch with our auditors as well and have been told that they can certainly work with us, even though I think the town at the time was informed otherwise. So I just wanted to offer that as a bit of a clarification. And with that being said, I don't have anything else unless you all have any questions. Office will be closed tomorrow for election day.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Last thing, event planners report.
Who's opening now? This is for the election folks come up.
The election folks have been given the access code, and it will be just the same with the same as if someone rents the town office.
What time are they going to open?
I think 6 a.m.
6 a.m.?
Mm-hmm. It'll be open 6 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Get out and vote, people.
All right. I guess our closed session, we have there's one thing that we need Mr. Henshaw's information on.
I don't have that information there. What are we going into closed session on?
Mr. Henshaw?
I'd like to report back to you all really briefly about the tenant that we talked about at the last council meeting. Okay. I apologize.
So that would be to go into closed session for purposes of discussing the previous motion to waive the closed session privilege and the scope of that with regards to the attorney-client privilege, work product privilege, and various FOIA exemptions. And then secondarily to discuss the acquisition and disposition of real property, specifically town rental properties, which permitted under 2.23711A1 and A3.
Okay. I say so moved. So moved. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, we'll go ahead and call the meeting back to order.
The motion to certify would be that, to the best of each member's knowledge, only those matters lawfully exempted from open meetings requirements of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, and then only those items that were identified in the motion convening the closed session just were heard or considered by the council during that closed session.
So me.
Yes.
Bear.
Yes.
Harness.
Yep.
Lee.
Yes.
Scarborough.
Yes.
Kimberly. Spice.
Aye. As a result of the closed session, be it resolved, notwithstanding the council's original motion during the police department report by Councilwoman Bear, this council does not waive the attorney-client privilege, the attorney-client work product privilege, or any protections of state law for personal records. That's a motion.
Second.
Second by Ms. Bear. Discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Lincoln.
Actually, during discussion, I'm sorry. As I alluded to earlier in our private discussion, and I'll say it out here too, I would caution everyone to use the privilege that was just granted to you during Rebecca Bear's motion. I would use that very cautiously, and keep in mind the town and the town's folks and your duties and obligations to protect the best interests of the town when you decide to disclose whatever you may or may not decide to disclose.
Further discussion, Mrs. Cat?
I'd also like to recommend that council members, if you so choose to speak, to keep your words clean, as you may have to eat them later. And what you say can and will be used against you.
Do I have the right to an attorney?
Seeing no further discussion, roll call vote, please.
Aiken.
Yes.
Bear.
Yes.
Harness.
Yep.
Scarborough.
Yes.
Kimberly. Spice.
Aye.
Council time. Mr. Aiken, any?
No, thank you.
Mrs. Bear?
I would like to have put on the June agenda, hopefully we will have more responses to PC appointments.
Ms. Harness?
Vote, vote, vote tomorrow.
Mrs. Scarborough?
Vote early, vote often.
Mr. Kenworthy?
I would just like to have some more information on this, the purchase of this property, where all these dilapidated homes are at, and see where the progress is headed on there. I'm getting a lot of feedback from people around here.
Marchant has it.
You talking about Marchant working with the
Payne Lane property.
Payne Lane properties?
Yes.
He's still here, I think. Chuck, did Marchant still in the office, sir? Councilman Kenworthy has a question in regards to recent discussions with the proposed purchaser of the Payne Lane property, and his due diligence and the, as I've asked you many times before, the upkeep and maintenance of this property while he's doing his due diligence, or they are doing what they're doing.
Last time I had updated you, it was about a month ago, the contract purchaser was going to start with phase one to understand some of the environmental problems with the property. I have not followed up with him yet. I did hear from, or did meet with the owner of Bull Run Accounting today. And he had shared some information with me about the project maybe farther out than we expected. So what I'll do is tomorrow is call the contract purchaser and ask them where they are. We'll probably give them a hard deadline with which to give us a clear pattern, clear progress moving forward, and if not, we'll begin going through the ordinance, blight. Push it, yes, sir.
There we go.
Easier said, yes, we'll push the issue there. Thank you.
Can we expedite that, because there has been a lot of...
I'm having a lot of feedback from the people in town.
Correct. So.
It's very easy to sit there and say to the residents in town that, well, we're working with a new purchaser and we don't want to upset them and rock the boat too much, but...
Certainly the challenge we have is until a plan comes in, it's not solid. We don't know it's going to move forward, so
they need to go forward with... They currently own the property, so they need to maintain to the standards our ordinances allow them to be maintained.
correct. We're also talking with the new building inspector. We also have the ability through the International Building Code to impose issues. So, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Tobias?
Thank you, Brian.
Just want to go on record again, David, and since the last meeting that we had and the censure, et cetera, and then the article that came out directly thereafter, I just find it appalling that you have, prior to tonight's vote notwithstanding, but I find it appalling that you took the pleasure and the leisure to go around our attorney's advice and the agreement of counsel to keep certain matters confidential. And probably the most appalling part of that is the fact that you earmarked